What is going on, guys? The Inside the Blue Podcast, episode 82. And today, breaking down a Giants victory. How about that to end off the season? Giants defeat the Philadelphia Eagles. And man, did they kick their ass, baby. I loved every second of it. Going into Metlife and kicking the Eagles' ass. Man, have I been waiting for this for a long time. Listen, did the season go the way we wanted it to? Hell no. Did the Eagles suck against us this season? Honestly, yeah. And I think the fans know it too. They barely beat us the first game. You can say what you want about the refs and how they maybe helped the Eagles or not. But this time, the Giants went into MetLife and got the job done with Tyrod Taylor, Saquon Barkley, everybody get in the end zone. We can Slayton get in the end zone. Saquon two TDs. You know, that Slayton getting a touchdown, man. He really played really well down the stretch. But, this was a big victory for this Giants team, just because they beat the Eagles. I think all of us Giants fans have been tired of the Eagles kicking our ass. They're still undefeated, at Lincoln Financial. I think they're like 10 or something. They're like 11-0 in the last 11 games against us. They swept us last year, going 3-0, one in the playoffs, two in the regular season. This time the Giants get some revenge, split the season series this year. They swept the Commanders, and they lost both to the Dallas Cowboys. So, not horrific against the NFC East. Of course, had some very bad losses this season. The Jets game, the Bills game, the Seattle game was bad. The Saints game was bad. The Rams game at the end. I mean, bad play call by Dable. It is what it is. The season is over. We're heading into the offseason now. This Giants team, a complete roller coaster. That's honestly the season this year. A complete roller coaster, right? Week 1, they get their ass whooped against the Dallas Cowboys. Week 2, they struggle against the Arizona Cardinals. Week 3, they, lose to the 49ers. And I think we played Miami the next week after that, whatever it was. I don't even remember the schedule, but I know they got killed by Miami. That Miami team, their speed, if they can use it, they can maybe go a long way in the playoffs, but really determines how Tua plays in that game. But we're also going to have our own video about my playoff predictions, who's going to the Super Bowl, who's winning the rounds, who's getting, out of the first round, and all of that. But with this Eagles football team, just to start off with the Eagles, are they frauds? Is this team fraudulent? I don't really like to, bash teams, but it's the Philadelphia Eagles, so I don't even care. This Philadelphia Eagles team looks nothing like their last year's team. They panicked. They made Matt Patricia, their defensive coordinator. He stinks. Their offensive coordinator runs HB dives, halfback dives, whatever you want to call it, on 3rd and 10. They don't even know what the hell they're getting into when they're playing a Baker Mayfield team that, has been in the playoffs the last 4 years. First year with Baker Mayfield. And how about it? Is Baker gonna bake or what? I know we're all praying for the Eagles' downfall, the Cowboys' downfall. But hey, this Eagles team, they stink. And they have a lot of injuries. Jalen Hurts looks like he's flipping off everybody, with his middle finger being bent. Devontae Smith has an ankle injury, and A.J. Brown may have hyperextended his knee. As a Giant fan, of course, I hope all of them recover very safely and healthy. But I do want them to lose to the Bucs in the nicest way. Hope the Eagles lose. We're praying on the Eagles' downfall. I talked to some Eagles fans yesterday. They are worried. If this team is fraudulent, some think, they got the rust off, and now it's time to turn the page and really start playing some good football. And now that could happen, right? Jalen Hurts could, play a good game and win a game against the Bucs. A.J. Brown can come back and play well. Julio Jones could have a big game against his former team. Maybe I think they have Sammy Watkins, if I'm not mistaken, or they have someone. I actually don't even know if they have Sammy Watkins. I don't even know why that name just even popped up in my head, because I don't know the Eagles roster like that, but I know their top guys, and it's going to be interesting, this playoffs. I love all the playoff matchups still. Obviously, I wish the Giants were in it, but hey, we're going to have to wait a year because I hope this team makes the playoffs next year. But let's just really get into this. So we start off, with no Deontay Banks. Didn't matter. Giants defense played more than exceptional. Outstanding. Wink Martindale had an amazing game plan for this team. And we'll get into Wink Martindale in a second. But Xavier McKinney, amazing game. Us getting to the QB, Bobby Okereke, Pro Bowl snub, I'd say as well. He had an amazing season. Him, Mike McFadden, Thibs for the most part. There are some things with Thibs that I do have a slight concern of. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I'm happy with Thibs this season this year, right? What was it, 11.5, 12.5 sacks this year? He was really good at getting to the quarterback. But there are definitely still some things that I do worry about with this team. In terms of defense, of course, Wink Martindale potentially resigning from the team. But yeah, I mean, with this team, there's gonna be some flaws, right? Whether it's with the offense being bad, Mike Kafka, Brian Dable, or the defense with Wink Martindale and a few other guys, obviously. But with this football team, I'm excited about their fight. Usually when teams are this bad, they're like, pack it up. We're not going to win a single game. We're going to tank the rest of the season. Commanders. Sorry about that. That just something in my mouth. What was it, Commanders? My bad. But yeah, Commanders stink. So they really just tanked, and they might get Caleb Williams. I pray that the Bears trade Justin Fields to the Falcons, and they snag Caleb Williams, and the Falcons get a new quarterback. They got Justin Fields. Bears draft Caleb Williams, so he doesn't have to go to the NFC East. And yeah, I saw a stat somewhere. I'm trying to find it on my phone about Kayvon Thibodeau. Was still trying to find it. I'm trying to put my passcode in. I don't know where it is. But there. Getting into Wink Martindale as I'm trying to find this stat about Kayvon Thibodeau was Wink Martindale left Baltimore because he had a riff with him and John Harbaugh, of course. Also, congratulations to the Harbaughs of the national championship. Of course, Jim Harbaugh winning it for Michigan. John Harbaugh, of course, in Baltimore, but he was at the game. So, this could honestly be more of a Wink issue than Brian Dable. I know Brian Dable said with his conference that he expects Mike Kafka and Wink Martindale to be back with the Giants, but it's seeming to be more like Wink Martindale might be on his way out after the Giants fired the linebacking coaches, and they were really close to Wink Martindale. They were a part of his staff in Baltimore, so maybe Wink Martindale follows them and then he goes somewhere else, or Wink Martindale stays. I'm not sure, but there's some candidates already out there. Giants are going to interview. I know that it'll be interesting what Antonio Pierce brings, because if the Raiders don't have him as their head coach next year, don't be surprised if the Giants are all over Antonio Pierce for getting him, because they're really interested. Of course, Antonio Pierce was a former New York Giant, and it would be a really nice hire because, this Raiders defense down the stretch, even with Patrick Graham, we're playing really good football. They were really shutting down, good teams like the Kansas City Chiefs and other teams. They were playing good football. But I'm trying to find the stat. So yeah, it says this. So the expectation this morning was that this was on January 8th, a day ago as I'm recording this. So it says, from Anthony Rivardo on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, So the expectation for this morning was that Wink Martindale would continue to be the defense coordinator. Well, that expectation wasn't met. He hasn't resigned yet, but it says that he resigned. So he has not resigned, but that was also a day ago where all the reports were saying Wink Martindale has resigned. Giants are going to look for a new defensive coordinator. But also, didn't Joe Shane say the expectation is that Daniel Jones would be the starter for 2024? So now what does that mean for the QB position? Does this mean that they're going to take a QB at 6? Are they going to take a guy like Jaden Daniels? What does that mean, right? There's a lot of questions, right? With the expectation, right? Because we don't even know if Wink Martindale's going to be back and if Daniel Jones is going to be ready for week 1 or if he's even going to be the starter. So that'll be interesting. Still trying to find the stat about Kayvon Thibodeau, but anyways, we get into my thoughts on the NFL on the season for the Giants. Now with this team, I said it earlier in the pod. I am happy how this team played down the stretch, even with even with the tough season, right? It's hard to play good when your team isn't playing good. Isn't playing good, right? It's hard to have that motivation to go out on the field and play good, even though you know that you're not going to make the playoffs, and that sucks, right? So I'm happy about them continuing to fight because that is something that I do like, and I feel like this entire locker room still has a lot of respect for Brian Dable. And with this team, it's good to see that this team still has some fight. So just looking, so these were the stats under Wink Martindale as well. EPA per play 22nd, pass EPA per play 12th, and rush EPA was 29th. So it's kind of been notorious for Wink Martindale to have a bad run defense. I'm not sure really what it is, but that has to be fixed. And another thing. Oh, here it is. So, Giants fired outside linebacker coach Drew Wilkins, and out of 78 outside linebackers in pass rush win rate, Kayvon Thibodeau was 71st, Azeez Ojulari 76th, and Jihad Ward 78th. So, I mean, that's the big thing about Kayvon Thibodeau, is that he needs to win more battles and more consistent. I think that's the key word with Kayvon Thibodeau, is to win the consistent battles. If you could do that, then you could expect, an even better year out of Kayvon Thibodeau, where he can get to maybe 13, 14, 15 sacks next season. But, I really love how this football team played this year, despite the win-loss record, right? But, gonna really wrap up this next topic, and then that'll pretty much do it for the pod. So, my 6th overall pick right now, if the draft was today, I'm taking Joe Alt. But if it gets closer to draft day, I might be taking Jaden Daniels. And now, this popped in my head yesterday. I was having a conversation with a few NFL fans about wide receiver. You look at all the amazing QBs, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa to an extent, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, of course, all those QBs. What do they all have in common? They all have a wide receiver 1. Malik Neighbors at 6. Is it bad to take Malik Neighbors at 6 to solidify your wide receiver 1? Or do you, just play the safe route, take the offensive lineman, and move on with your day, or take the QB? I'm not ruling out taking Malik Neighbors. I don't think they're going to take Malik Neighbors, but it's definitely a question, right? If they draft Malik Neighbors, I mean, that could be huge for this football team. Get a wide receiver 1, amazing run after catch wide receiver, and just be a really good NFL player, I think. But that's my question at the end. That's going to do it for this Giants pod. Giants kick the Eagles' ass. I love it. Love this New York football team. A lot more content for you guys in the future. Stay tuned, post notifications, and turn that bell on to receive all notifications. Like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.